With just 5 days in Sri Lanka, we knew we couldn't see everything. But we wanted a good mix of sights and experiences. Along the way, a few people suggested skipping Kandy, so naturally, we added it to our route. Getting here wasn't exactly easy. We landed at midnight, then had a 2.5-hour drive before finally arriving.
Well, last night we got in quite late, so only had about 4 hours of sleep, I would say. That's us at the airport in Sri Lanka. Just before midnight, I want to say. Have to clear immigration and then get our bags. But we didn't want to waste the morning away, so got up, had breakfast at the hotel. We need to do laundry, so we're gonna drop some off this morning and then go and explore Kandy. Hello! People are so friendly here. I would say we just had our first realization of you're not in Southeast Asia anymore after dropping off our laundry. Just walked down the street here in Kandy, dropped it off. Didn't even think to ask, quite frankly, because it's usually been less than $5 every time we've gotten it done, and we just got the invoice back and it's $13, so I'm not complaining. I want to be clear about that. I'm sure that's very fair for the area, but it's that first initial shock of, oh yeah, our prices are really going to start to change from here on out. It honestly never gets old seeing the monkeys. I'm really gonna miss them when we leave. Just had a driver stop us on the road, so we're gonna take his details and maybe we'll use him to go to our next destination here.
Kandy is often called Sri Lanka's cultural capital. Nestled in the Central Highlands, it was the last royal capital before the country came under British rule.
A little different than where we came from in Hong Kong.
Kandy sits cradled in Sri Lanka's Central Highlands, where the air feels cooler and sweeter than the coast, and the hills roll out in every direction.
Coming to Kandy and just starting out in the morning can definitely overwhelm the senses. We started by walking through the market and I loved it. There was such an energy and vibrance about it, but can be very in your face, you know, people yelling out, hello sir, hello madam, try this, try that. But I really liked it, so I think it's pretty cool. We've also had a lot of people address us drivers, right? They're trying to get their job for the day, trying to do a city tour, offering to take us out and about, offering to take us to our next destination. And so on one hand, that's nice because you have people constantly approaching you. You can kind of get a good idea for prices and what you might want to pay, plus who you might click with. That being said, it can be a little bit draining too. After a while, when you're constantly getting approached, it's like, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you. So a little give and take there.
The city wraps itself around a glassy lake where white egrets glide across the water and tuk-tuks weave along the shore.
What a beautiful first day. We're just here walking along the lake. We've been told by pretty much everybody that we're here at the start of the rainy season, and so the rain starts to set in the afternoon. So if you want to do anything, if you want to get out early in the morning and see whatever it is you want to see. Now, we almost didn't come to Kandy because we talked to another young girl. She had visited here earlier this year and she said, oh, I didn't even bother to go to Kandy. It's just another big city, but I don't feel that way at all. I think it's quite beautiful. There's a lot that's surrounded by nature. You've got the temples. It is really a cultural capital of Sri Lanka, and I think I'd be really remiss to miss out on this part of it.
From above, Kandy is gorgeous, a city cupped in green hills, stitched together by winding roads and crowned with an alluring lake. But the beauty hides a bit of chaos. The streets below can feel like a game of chicken with buses. The noise never really stops, and you'll smell incense and exhaust in the same breath. For some, that's part of the charm. For others, it's exactly why they say skip it. So which is it? That's largely for you to decide.
It's lunchtime, so we're back here in the city and we're going to see what we can find. We're looking for some good local food.
At this point in our year-long trip, Sri Lanka is more of a stopover than a destination, but we still want to make the most of our time here.
So our plan is to do 2 days in Kandy, full days, today, tomorrow, and then the day after we will go to Sigiriya. Sigiyara, I'm probably saying that wrong, I apologize, no offense intended. And then we'll do 2 days there before we go to Negombo, since we have an early morning flight. It's not your typical touristy path. I think most people end up going the opposite direction. What's he doing back there? Most people end up going to Nuwara Elaya and Ella, and those places look beautiful, but honestly the time that it takes to get to them, with us only having 5 full days here, it felt like it wasn't really worth it. We want to be able to get to a place within 1 to 3 hours and just be there and be able to enjoy it without having to spend 6 or 7 hours on a train, which I know is very popular to do, or in a car to have to get back to the airport.
By dinner time, we start to learn that things move a little slower here. But some things are worth the wait. In Kandy, mornings are for shopping, and the streets waste no time waking up. Stalls spill over with bright fabrics. Mannequins model the latest fashions in windows barely wider than a doorway, and vendors call out to passing tuk-tuks. You can hear the hum of traffic, mixing with bursts of laughter from shopkeepers. After weaving through racks of shirts and stacks of sarongs, Jimmy found something he couldn't leave without. Today we're trading city streets for what's beyond. With a fresh coconut in hand, we head south, passing through busy towns where shopfronts and tuk-tuks crowd the roadside. Soon, the road begins to climb, past terraced hills and quiet villages, as our little tuk-tuk winds its way towards something a bit out of the ordinary. The Ambuluwawa Tower.
Today we wanted to get outside of town, outside of Kandy, so we've hired a tuk-tuk. We met our driver yesterday, actually, as we were walking along the lake. He was really nice, and we were glad to see that he was still back there today. And so for 6,000 rupees, we're just gonna head along the outskirts of Kandy, see what we see. The first place we've come to is, I'm gonna butcher this, I apologize in advance, the Ambuluwawa Tower.
Ambuluwawa Tower rises more than 3,500 feet above sea level, perched on a hill where the wind never seems to rest. It's part of a biodiversity complex, a patchwork of forest, garden, and temples. And the tower itself blends Buddhist, Hindu, Islamic, and Christian architectural elements into one structure. From up high, you can see the spiral walkway wrapping tightly around its white cone, narrowing the higher you climb. On clear days, they say you can see 4 provinces from the top, but today the clouds have other plans. The wind whips hard against the side of the tower, tugging at your clothes and pushing you off balance, and the mist swirls so thick that the view disappears, only to reappear in sudden flashes.
This is wild to just be in the cloud. It is thin, 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 thin. Only room for one person, so I'm gonna hurry my way down so others can make their way up. Very cool though.
It's a climb that's part adrenaline, part wonder, and impossible to forget. But we're not done with our day just yet. At our next stop, we get a glimpse into the history and craft behind one of Sri Lanka's most famous exports. Storefield Tea Factory gives a crash course in tea processing 101. From grinding to drying to sorting, each step transforms the same leaf into something new. Black, green, or even the prized gold teas. At the other end of the scale is dust, the fine powder that often ends up in our tea bags back home. The tour wraps up with a tasting, some smooth, others strong. We'd read that drivers often stop at factories like this hoping tourists will buy overpriced tea. And while we appreciated the lesson and tipped for our time, we slipped out quickly before the hard sale began. Back on the road, the tuk-tuk rattles back to town as the clouds finally caught up with us. Rain taps against the plastic sides, blurring the streets outside. We pull over for lunch, the perfect excuse to finally try Sri Lanka's famed kattu. Kattu starts with flat roti bread chopped into tiny pieces on a sizzling griddle, then mixed with vegetables, egg, and spices. The taste? Pure comfort food. It instantly becomes my favorite dish in Sri Lanka. As the sun sets over the hills, our time in Kandy comes to an end. The city feels different at night. The tuk-tuks weaving through glowing streets, the sound of street food sizzling, and the mix of calm and chaos that makes Kandy so memorable.
Ooh, it's bright out here. I feel squinty. It's a cloudy day today, but the sun is clearly up there above the clouds. Hopefully it stays dry. I'm sitting here on the balcony of our accommodation in Kandy, and I'm just staring at the back of Buddha's head. Today we leave Kandy and we are headed to our next destination of Sigiriya. And Kandy, I have to say, has been very different. It's unapologetically loud, it's chaotic, it's vibrant. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I would. I've actually really enjoyed it. We were only here for 2 full days, and for me, I feel like that was enough to get a taste of the local area, the local culture. I am not a person that's very attracted to big, noisy cities, but I've just found everything to be so interesting here, and I think it's just very different to other places we've been, you know, starting out in Europe and most recently in Southeast Asia. Now we are clearly still in Asia, but it just feels a little bit different. Jimmy candidly hasn't really enjoyed it, and I think that's for a couple reasons. One, I booked an accommodation that was a little bit outside of town. We are up on a hill. There's no sidewalks, to get down into town, so you have to walk along a really busy street. Maybe if we stayed somewhere closer in town, that he wouldn't have had that negative experience. The second thing is, it is loud. People are in your face as we're walking through the markets. You know, they're yelling out things that they have for sale and they're trying to get your attention, and I've enjoyed that in small doses, but for me, at the end of the night, I've just had to unplug. As an introvert, I have found it very interesting. I've liked being immersed in it, but at the end of the day, it's depleting, it's exhausting. I have found people to be generally very friendly. If you're walking down the street and you pass somebody, you can look at them, smile, they'll smile back at you. Sometimes they'll say hello, good morning, so that's all well and good. I will say that, how do I want to put this? I don't know that people are genuinely nice versus when they're just trying to get something from you. There have been some interesting tactics to be kind of friendly and buddy-buddy in order to get you to purchase a good or a service. The other day, we were finished with dinner, we were just going for a little walk around the town, and a man popped up and he says, "Oh hey, it's me from the hotel." And I didn't recognize him, but Jenny's like, "Oh hey buddy, how's it going?" You know, he was really nice. He was just saying, you know, he's out for the evening, he's getting ready to meet his family, they're shopping in the market. He's like, "Why don't you come along?" And he ended up leading us to his friend's store. We did take a look at his stuff, but we just didn't need anything. So we ended up leaving, and after everything, I was like, I don't think that man works at our hotel. So we got back to our hotel, and you know, over the next few days, we never saw him. So that was definitely a ploy where they're kind of fake nice, fake buddy-buddy, but it's really just a way for them to bring you into their business, into their restaurant, whatever. I would say plan to come for at least 2 full days. You can walk around the lake, you can check out the temples, you can check out some of the viewpoints and the Buddha statues. You can get outside of town if you want to get a bit more out into nature. It's not going to be like Ella or Nuwara Eliya with mountains and waterfalls, but it's still quite nice. It is busy, it's quite frenetic. You can get that real market experience, and you can go shopping to your heart's desire. So I would definitely recommend giving it a chance. Just keep your wits about you and trust no one. No, that's not a good way to go through life, but keep your wits about you. Good advice no matter where you're at. Now here I was just saying that it was cloudy but not rainy, and proved me wrong.